you know, zombie-based, quasi-combo-oriented aggressive deck. And it just was a new kid on the block. Did great at, I believe, Grand Prix, oh gosh. My brain just fizzled away there for a second.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, here he is. And he's probably, of all of the players in the room, I think it is safe to say that Sam Black is probably the most regarded player from the Pro Tour playing in the room.
That's safe. That's a safe thing to say. But his opponent's not. His opponent's no slouch in Legacy. He's had a top 8 in SCG Des Moines in Legacy, 9th in Minneapolis, and 10th in Legacy. So he considers himself a stronger player in Legacy. He is playing the typical Rug Delver deck, as you say here. But I mean, this could be a very good matchup, especially early on, to see two players that are very good at it. And I'm interested to see how Dustin reacts to the Walking Dead deck, because you don't prepare.
Yeah.
You don't prepare for that deck.
Well, the thing about Legacy that a lot of people forget is that there are so many archetypes that you can't do real playtesting. And by real playtesting, I mean where you play your deck against all of the other decks and see what, you know, how it plays out. There are just too many decks to do that. The opening of the game here, we see Dustin is first. He fetches, gets a tropical island. If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan in the booth with Robert Martin. This is the Star City Games Invitational, and it's going to be an awesome 8 rounds today. 4 rounds of Legacy followed by 4 rounds of Standard. We see our first spell of the tournament.
Nimble Mongoose.
Nimble Mongoose is the first spell of our tournament today. And I'm sure that Nimble Mongoose won't be a stranger this weekend.
No, we will see a lot of him this weekend. Sam plays a fetch land, Marsh Flats.
So when it comes down to this matchup, as you were saying, it seems unlikely that Dustin has probably play-tested much against this deck. There aren't very many people that played this deck after Sam did well with it, largely because I think a lot of people just didn't really take it very seriously. But it can't be argued that, or it can't be argued against that this was a deck that kind of blew the Legacy world away. You know, what is going on is his basic response he got all weekend when he first broke this deck out.
But that's the advantage of the situation with him, is to be different. And now we have a Faithless Looting. Looks like we see a Daze, a Wasteland in Dustin's hand. Oh, he will Daze that right away. Drew another Daze.
Yeah. When Sam broke this out at Grand Prix Atlanta, it really was just a total shock to the system. But like I said, it didn't seem to make waves that lasted within Legacy. It can partly be some decks can be very difficult to play, and you have to have kind of a master's touch in order to get the returns you need from it.
I really liked Sam's list originally when he played it. And anytime you can get a deck that's not your standard decks that you see, it's always nice to have that ability out there to do something different.
Nimble Mongoose is still small. The mana suppression of Wasteland is keeping the game in an early stage. You can see right now that little 1/1 is just pecking away, but it won't take much for it to become more significant. Tide Hollow Sculler from Sam Black. This lets him look at Dustin's hand and maybe...
Spell Pierce?
What do we got?
Daze.
Daze. Mana in pool, and then returns the land to hand to Daze the Tide Hollow Sculler. Uses that mana to Thought Scour himself. Looks like 2 land, and then he gets the draw from Thought Scour. Now the Thought Scour, that Nimble Mongoose has creeped very close to being a 3/3. Relays the Tropical, comes in for 1 again. And Sam here lays Blood Artist. All the standard hits coming on out. Got I shouldn't say all of the standard hits. That's the first standard hit he's laid. There are standard hits in his deck, though. Faithless Looting, Grave Crawler, Blood Artist, Lingering Souls. A lot of cards that I think people were surprised to see in a powered-up format like Legacy. Another land.
Misty Rainforest.
Main phase brainstorm, the best kind of brainstorm.
He's still got to be searching for that red because he still does not seem to draw that land yet.
Now, Sam is here playing no wastelands. His deck has enough color requirements using red, white, white, black, 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 black as like various different casting costs. He really does not have the luxury of running wastelands of his own, which has got to be a total relief for Dustin, because one of the problems that Rug Delver sometimes has is that a single wasteland can cut it off entirely from mana for a very long time.
Yeah, anytime you can wasteland against a Rug Delver deck, that is almost the kiss of death for it.
Well, no, I wouldn't say kiss of death,
well,
but you know,
it puts them in an awkward situation.
I mean, they run enough fetch and search that they can find more of it often enough, and their mana curve is so low. But they certainly do have moments where they're fragile. And Ponder. All of this post-combat, because the Goose is already loose. The Goose is already a 3/3
Yes.
before any of this happened. You can see our spectators in that shot just now looking over from their constructed walkway around our feature match area. Now, amazingly though, even though they are right next to the match as best as they can be, the view from where we're sitting is even better than the view they've got. So if you're at home watching this, you're getting some of the best opportunities to watch Magic that you can get. Blood Artist here, facing off against a Nimble Mongoose. Sam starts out, it looks like, with going to be a Gravecrawler or a Cabal Therapy, one of the two. Cabal Therapy. What you got over there? He's naming something? Now, probably naming what he fears.
Okay, he shows Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Ponder, Stifle, and
Forked Bolt.
Forked Bolt.
One of the variants that happens in Rug Delver decks is what red spells are they choosing? And in this case, we see Forked Bolt.
Yeah, 4 Lightning Bolts.
1 Fire Ice, 1 Forked Bolt in the deck, and 4 Lightning Bolt. Sam follows up with Gravecrawler, and he's probably contemplating whether or not he wants to have a potential attacker in play, or whether he wants to flashback that Cabal Therapy to get rid of one of the cards he's seen. Yeah, and Sam in that first Cabal Therapy named Tarmogoyf. Or as our director is calling it, Tarmy. Tarmy.
Yes, he is going to... Oh, sacrifices. Flashes back.
And remember, Spell Pierce, Stifle, and he goes for the Spell Pierce. And Sam's like, yeah, I remember what you got there. You don't got to show me again. And Sam has the opportunity there to gain a life and drain a life with the Blood Artist. I don't know if that happened or not. It is with the new trigger rules. It doesn't necessarily happen anymore.
Ah, another Nimble Mongoose.
Geese are rough for Sam. Sam's way of handling a Nimble Mongoose is okay. I'm still looking.
Souls?
Yeah,
Says
Lingering
blockers?
Souls. Like, yeah, if he gets out 4 Lingering Souls, then he can have enough to kill it and not have to worry about a Lightning Bolt making things go bad. And he's just like, nope, that's enough for me. Let's go to the sideboard.
Absolutely. Let's take a look here and see what we got here.
Well, from Sam, I think we can expect to see go for the throat, because Tarmogoyf is a real huge card, and that's a really nice way to deal with it. And you like O-Ring against him?
I like O-Ring. I want that. I want him taken out. I want that card taken away. That's exactly what I'm gunning for, and I think that's very helpful. On Dustin's board,
yes.
Well, he's Vortex to Gret. He's got Reddit now.
Dustin's board, I think that there really aren't very many things that he has to bring in,
Yeah.
but he might view himself as aggressive enough in this matchup that perhaps he wants to bring in Blurred Mongoose or Sulfuric Vortex. Now, Blurred Mongoose has the advantage of being untargetable as well, and Sam really does have problems with that. And Sulfuric Vortex, if Dustin is in fact the aggressor in this matchup, can be a real problem for a deck like Sam's.
What would you take out for the Blurred Mongoose?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question.
Would you almost contemplate?
I definitely wouldn't take
or
out
the Delver, maybe?
I definitely don't think I would take out any of the aggressive creatures. I might consider taking out Force of Will because I do not believe that this is a Force of Will matchup. There's not a critical singular card that Sam's going to be playing that he cares about being Force of Willed. The closest thing he has is Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah.
And that's just not enough to give yourself that much of a...
But he never saw it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he never saw it. I mean, he might not even know what's in his deck.
It's possible, but I mean, it depends on how much attention that Dustin pays to Legacy. I mean, if I were to sit down against Sam Black and not have an idea of what his exact deck list is, my guess is Sam would be playing this list, and that's just because, you know, I'm paying attention to Legacy. If Dustin does the same thing, he probably comes to the same conclusion right away. Yeah, now, like, the thing I'm talking about with regards to the trigger questions is that with the trigger change that happened a few months ago at this point.
Yes.
I believe that Blood Artist fits under that space of you can miss it and it goes away.
Which is, well, that's where you got to be able to pay attention to the triggers and make sure you hit them.
And
otherwise
the reason I bring up whether it was done or not is that you know, we do our very best between our spotters and you know, all of the people that are here, but I didn't see Sam's life total go up by 1, so that's why I was wondering if that's what happened.
Well, they're sighting in their cards for the next round, shuffling up here.
I think this is a kind of rough matchup for Sam unless he doesn't really have any kind of sacrifice effects like any edict style effects. No. And so I think one of the things that Dustin has going for him, all of the untargetable he's got going on could be a real problem. Yeah, Sam's best answer is Perish, you know, but he's only got 1 copy of it.
And that's a one of. I mean, you know, that's not exactly as easy. I mean, before we saw at that the GP, we saw people running sometimes 2 in their sideboard of Perishes just to get rid of the threat. But it's so hard now with Legacy. You have to have more options at your disposal when it comes to the sideboards.
One of the things about Legacy, if you've played in any major Legacy tournaments, these days there is a little more stability in the format. These days, it's possible in a big tournament that you might play against the same deck twice, but it wasn't so long ago you could play 16 rounds of Legacy and have 16 different matchups.
Wow.
And these days, you play 16 rounds of Legacy, my guess is you'd have 12 or 13 different matchups. I mean, just taking a look at the last major Legacy event, and there were 13 different archetypes in the top 16.
That's right. That is correct. It's funny when you look at the resumes of Sam Black with the Pro Tour Philly top 4 and 4 GP tops 8 and Team Worlds in 2008. You know, and he's like the architect behind a lot of SCG Black's decks. I mean, to be able to be the person that's in that booth working in that room with Finkel and with Kai and with some of the best in Magic's history, you know, and some of the young players, and to be like the guiding force behind the deck building is quite a unique honor.
Well, I think one of the things that was said by John Finkel about Sam that it still kind of blows my mind. He said, "Oh, what am I playing at the event? Whatever Sam Black is playing."
That's like the ultimate form of respect right there. If you have John Finkel saying, "I'm going to play your deck,"
now he's even saying whatever you're going to play.
Whatever you're
right?
going to play. Yeah.
Now the thing that's funny to me is having come up with Sam and like having played with Sam a lot and having had Sam, you know, be a Madison player and be someone you're used to seeing. Sam chose his deck this morning based on whether or not he could find a card He had 2 decks built except for 4 cards, and he was
Nice.
like, anyone have any grave crawlers, or does anyone have any, I forget which card, but one of the cards he needed for the Hypergenesis deck. And he couldn't find the Hypergenesis cards, so he played this deck. And here he is, basically based on a coin flip. And that's the Sam Black that I know. You know, choosing decks that way.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, and Sam immediately goes for a swamp, which is good against the Wastelands, because he knows right away that if those Wastelands come out, Dustin's going to take out his mana as quickly as possible. Oh, Gravecrawler. It's going to put Dustin on a... have to get something out fairly quickly. He has 2 Brainstorms in his hand to start with for Dustin. Passes the turn. Ah, Cabal Therapy.
And again, if you're using Cabal Therapy, the best plan is not to try to guess what they have, but to name what you don't want to play against.
And quickly we see a Brainstorm in response for Dustin hopefully to get away 2 of the cards that he thinks Sam might predict. Looks like he's deciding. He's got Stifle there, I see. Do we know what Sam called?
And we see the reveal here. Looks like Ponder is what he was naming, and he hits. Very impressive blind hit. And Spell Pierce, Misty Rainforest, Brainstorm, Wasteland, Daze, Stifle.
Looks good from a defensive standpoint, but Sam's got that Gravecrawler. Looks like he'll be able to hit early with this. This is very good for Sam. He's going to use another Cabal Therapy on him. Spell Pierce this time? Do you think he names?
I would name, if I'm redoing it, I'd probably name Brainstorm.
Brainstorm? Okay.
There it
He
is.
does
Goodbye,
go Brainstorm.
Brainstorm. You just want to make sure you tear out as much of that deck's ability to manipulate into good cards. Because right now, Dustin's hand is not particularly exciting.
No.
And Sam hopes to exploit that. Ponder off the top. Remember, he did Brainstorm before the Cabal Therapy, the first one hit. So he hit a card.
Yeah, hit a Ponder. Wasteland. Dustin will Ponder here.
Okay. Using the full art Ponder.
Sam has, I saw Bloodghast in his hand as he went rifling through quick. He will sacrifice his land, pull out probably maybe a second swamp. Yes.
Yep.
And those are the only 2 swamps Sam has, so anything from here on out is available to get hit by Wasteland.
But he just wants to make sure he gets to that baseline of 2 mana.
Yes. And that's the best way to go about it for him, because basically that's exactly what he needs to run most of his deck.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Robert Martin. This is the first round of the Star City Games Invitational here. You can see Sam Black on the right with The Walking Dead versus Dustin Lussier on the left with Rug Delver. Now, these are 2 Midwest players. Dustin is from Rochester, Minnesota, and Sam Black is from Madison, Wisconsin.
Daze and the Bloodghast are a good move. Not that you and I would have any bias for Midwest players. Not that we're both from Wisconsin or anything like that.
And we see the land come down again, post days. Bloodghast in the graveyard. It can quickly turn around and be right back out there again. We see from the sideboard, it looks like Sam has brought in his anti-Tarmogoyf tech in the form of Meekstone.
In for another 2 with Gravecrawler.
And Sam says, trigger. In it comes. We see a Stifle. Well, I mean, Sam just got to discard a card out of Dustin's hand via laying a land. No big loss for Sam there. I mean, to be fair, there are only so many landfall triggers that Sam can accomplish.
That is true. Now, is this the time where he plays Blood Artist now? Or does he wait? Because he knows he doesn't have the ability to play anything yet, or does he drop the Meekstone?
He lays the Meekstone, says go, apparently.
Yeah, he drew another Stifle here, so at least he'll be able to hold off the Bloodghast again, but he still has nothing.
We've got Green Source.
Oh, Nimble Mongoose.
And Sam's like, darn it. And that goose is loose, just barely a 3/3. Sam's offense now just shut down entirely by that Nimble Mongoose. This is the major problem, I think, for this matchup that makes it, to my mind, a very rough one. Therapy, you. There's a Stifle in hand, a land, and a Spell Pierce. And Spell Pierce is named and it is taken out.
Sam has done really well in those Cobalt therapies so far.
The first one was a really nice, just blind hit, and then after that, that little bit of information has let every other one also be a hit. And Dustin lays a Blurred Mongoose.
There it is.
All kinds of untargetable. And Sam draws. I think he has a Perish. I think he just drew a Perish.
It's hard to
Oh,
tell.
don't move your cards around for a second, Sam. That's a Perish.
Yeah.
That is a Perish. And he already has taken out the Spell Pierce from Dustin's hand. He knows that there is a Stifle there, though, so he can't get to that mana without, boom. First Cabal therapying. I'll name Stifle. There it is. Goodbye. And we're going to see here the fetch. He's going to get his other color. Will he get the white or the red source? I predict he'll get white. Yep, there it is. And then the Perish to follow up to kill these terrible threats.
And
the Bloodghast is out from the trigger. And I think he's being given the no sir. Because I think, yeah, the no sir. Because he cast the Perish first before he let that trigger happen.
Oh, yeah, did it out of order.
Yeah, he did a little bit of the 2 Quixies. That could come back to haunt him.
Yeah, consider that Bloodghast out there right now, and we know Dustin's down to 1 card. I really would have put Sam in commanding position to run with this.
And there's the Blood Artist. Dustin shoots it right then. He's like, just take that. And Sam this time does not forget the trigger. He does drain the life. Bloodghast.
Anything from Dustin? No. Passes turn.
Faithless Looting in Sam's hand. In with the Bloodghast. Dustin right now would be at 9 if Sam had not been too hasty there. Pardon me, he would be at 7. And we see the Tragic Slip take care of Delver there. Fetch, there we go.
Oh, there's the, now this one looks, it's looking pretty good here for Sam to come back here.
Down to 9.
He drew a Brainstorm right there.
This is such an important brainstorm for Dustin. If he gets a Nimble Mongoose, all of the attack that Sam has built up just evaporates. Now, right now, Dustin is below the bloodied threshold. He is at 9 life. That fetch land in play means even if Sam's creatures are swept out they'll just come back with haste and attack on the next turn. So Sam is in good shape now that he's got Dustin down to lower than 10. Boom. Right there, we've got a walking abyss. At least on the D.
Yeah, there's no offense coming from that.
Yeah,
one.
at a certain point, Dustin might be able to turn things around and start doing the attacking, but right now, he's definitely on the back foot. Boom!
Oh, wow.
That was a really good draw there for Sam. Draws a blood gas, comes in with 3 blood gasts. One of them will be blocked, 4 damage to Dustin's face, and Sam has that fetch land out to bring the blood gas back if he wants to. Dustin needs to get something going.
There are not.
He needs an instant removal or another creature.
Second mongoose would be really helpful here.
Well, if you were more specific, you would have said a second nimble
mongoose. Yes. My prediction skills aren't 100% accurate, but we're doing the best we can.
Okay, Sam, though, can very easily crack in for 2 damage and kill that goose. He lays, here they come, and we're going to see block, block, take 2, trades the blurred mongoose, oh, and the instant removal, takes nothing. But Sam sitting back there with 2 fetch lands ready to crack. So Dustin is still in the same position he was a moment ago.
Brainstorm.
Main phase brainstorm, the best kind. I think I see a Delver in that pile of cards.
But that's only a blocker. He needs a bigger answer than that.
Really, Dustin is looking for another nimble mongoose. Almost anything else is not quite good enough. Tarmogoyf, and he says go. This means that if Sam has a black removal spell, that Dustin is dead. That'll do it too.
Oh, Blood Artist, yep.
That'll do it too.
Well, we're off to game 3 here.
All over but the crying.
Yeah, all of a sudden he realizes,
Yeah.
oh, Cabal Therapy, that'll do it. So now what does Dustin bring in now?
I think Dustin actually, I like his choice of Blurred Mongoose. But Ancient Grudge, you can use that as an answer to the Needle. I mean, sorry, to the Meekstone. But I don't think Dustin cares. Honestly, I don't think I would care. The Tarmogoyf itself is the only card held down by that Meekstone.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that. It's just that when it was played, it just seems like everything fell into place for Sam this round. There seemed to be no issues or problems with the way it was going. It's definitely a tale of 2 unique games of Magic.
Like, Nimble Mongoose gets held down, Tarmogoyf gets held down, sure, but like, every creature gets held down except for the Blurred Mongoose. Okay, he has to Ancient Grudge. Yeah, it's one of those really messy cards where you're like, if you're being threatened by it, you know, you can't ignore it unless you want to get lucky. You know, like you can't, but at the same time, if you draw your answer to it and they don't draw it, you just feel so terrible, you know, like it's a classic problem that goes all the way back to like probably 96 or 95, where it's like, do I bring in my Disenchant for their Circle of Protection? And that question has been going through for so long in this game. Do I bring in my Shatter for their Ensnaring Bridge? Do I bring in my Ancient Grudge for, in this case, their Meekstone?
And that's, I don't know, like I said, Dustin looks like he's still making changes to his deck. The one thing I've always liked about seeing Sam play over the years when I've watched him play is nothing rattles him. He just seems to always be just in this. I mean, even when he played that match against Josh at the Pro Tour,
yeah,
when he went through 20 different cards to get to potentially hit it, he wasn't even, there wasn't a phasing of him. He wasn't felt like, because a lot of people go on tilt.
I don't think I've ever seen Sam go on tilt.
Which is something to say, because that's something that happens to a lot of players. You will see them lose a match and then they'll go on tilt, and then basically their tournament can be over. That's one of the nice things I like about Sam, especially the way he plays.
You know, when it comes down to just the power of the Meekstone in this matchup, I mean, it makes some really weird things happen where Dustin has to kind of treat his creatures, with the exception of Blurred Mongoose from the sideboard, he's got to kind of treat them like I'm trying to think of how to put this. Walls that explode. You know, you're like block, 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 block. Okay, I'll turn in this creature and trade it for X damage. Whether it's 3 damage from a goose, or whether it's 4 or 5 or 6 damage from a Tarmogoyf. But when you tap it, if their Meekstone's out, he's only getting 1 hit with it.
And it's only 1 solid hit.
Yeah.
You know, and even, Sam's deck doesn't provide much defense on that. But we have yet to see the Lingering Souls. We've yet to see, we yet to see a lot of the cards in his deck so far. The card that we've seen more than anything else is Cabal Therapy, and has it done a number?
I don't know why Sam laid that Meekstone, honestly, unless he wanted to make Dustin sideboard answers for it. Because he thought that might water down Dustin's deck, you know? That's a legit thing to do, is to, if you want that to happen. I don't know if Sam wants that to happen or not, but laying the Meekstone, he wasn't in a position where he was going to have to start blocking anytime, or start being on defense anytime soon. And so, maybe he puts it out there just so that it's out there, and it can't be pierced later, or it can't be otherwise stopped. So, it could just be an opportunity. It's out, it's a chance, and then later on, he doesn't have to worry about trying.
Well, it would be interesting to see what his theory on that was for this deck. But against Rogue Delver, like you said, he has so many different people, so many different Tarmogoyf that gets the 5 easily. You know, Delver who gets the 3 easily. Nibble Mongoose who gets the 3 easily.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, the only thing it doesn't stop is Blurred Mongoose.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Robert Martin, and we are watching the first round of the Star City Games Invitational here in Atlanta, Georgia, and you are seeing the literally first match of this event. We are going to get you as much magic as we possibly can, though. After this match concludes, we'll get other matches under the camera every round. So after Sam or Dustin walks away victorious in this first round, we're going to move our cameras to another match and get you as much magic as we possibly can.
Yeah, they are. Looks like the match next to them has ended as they're getting up and leaving.
Yeah, the catwalk that goes around this event. You can see Cedric Phillips in the background there, just over Dustin's shoulder. Looks like he gave a grimace. I don't know to what, but...
Gentleman that we're seeing on the screen there, it's packing up, is Morgan Chang. He's a GP grinder. He seems to be at a lot of different tournaments. He's also the kind of person that helps out a lot.
On the right, you can see Michael Jacob right there behind Sam Black, and those two first faced off at U.S. Nationals in 2008. And Michael Jacob, of course, won that event with Mono Red, and Sam Black was playing my elf deck there, and he got second. And the thing about those two, that matchup, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, I don't see how Red can beat Elves. Tarmogoyf is too big. And Michael Jacob was like, nothing's too big for Scred.
Well, it looks like we're getting ready here. They're shuffling up. Trying to make a thing here. All right. Dustin is down to 6. 5. He's down to 5.
5 cards. Ouch.
That's Rug
This
Delver.
is actually really dangerous because he's playing against a deck with 4 Cabal Therapy, and perhaps Thoughtseize is still in after the board. And when you have a possible aggressive discard hitting you and you mulligan, you can just be left with so few resources that it's even worse than normal mulligans.
Well, you know, they always say you need to be aggressive with your mulliganing, but like in his case, he's down to 5. Let's see what he comes up with here.
Delver turn 1.
That's a good start.
So is that a Jeff Goldblum or a Vincent Price Delver? I don't know. And Sam opens with Faithless Looting. a lot of Sam's deck works right from the graveyard. We saw that in action with the Bloodghasts before, but it's not just the Bloodghast, it's also the Grave Crawlers, it's the Lingering Souls, it's the Cabal Therapies.
He just dropped 2 Lingering Souls in his graveyard. That's going to be a real good start for Sam, because he should be able to easily access that. And it flips.
It is a blind flip off of a Bolt. Now, if Dustin can keep something like Meekstone from happening, Sam's actual answers to a creature in play are, after sideboard, go for the Throat ×2, Oblivion Ring, and I'm just going to talk about the ones that can straight up kill a Delver.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yep.
And then 2 Meekstones, so...
which will be Spell Pierced right away. Lingering Souls will be Spell Pierced.
And he knows the secret, so here's another 3 damage.
Sam's down to 14 right now.
This is exactly the kind of draw that Dustin needed. Just getting into an aggro control position where he has a creature in play that matters and just can leave mana up to make Sam's plays be wasted.
Okay, Cabal Therapy.
And the question here is,
What
does
is he
Dustin stop it? Because Sam will name whatever he's afraid of, which is going to be something like a Spell Pierce or a Daze. And
He's got Thought Scour.
he just shows.
Oh, he just
yeah.
shows. Oh.
And Thoughtseize will take away... No, it depends what Sam has in his hand. He goes with Bolt. Sam contemplating his next move. Plays a scrub land. He's going to see a Tide Hollow Sculler, maybe? Blood Artist?
Blood Artist?
And we see the Blood Artist is selected by Sam. You can see the Undiscovered Paradise hanging out in Sam's hand, a really great card in conjunction with his Bloodghasts. And we thought Scour ended the turn from Dustin.
Ponder, and it looks like one of the Mongoose that went into the... from that Thought Scour.
I think I just saw him draw a Daze, but I'm not certain of that. Sam goes down to 9. Dustin lays a land, lays a Tarmogoyf.
I believe... Oh, there's the Meekstone again.
There is a Meekstone, and now at this that is a big Tarmogoyf. And at this point, with the mana that Dustin has available, that Meekstone works. Dustin can't stop it. Boom. That is a kick to the teeth.
And now Lingering Souls for blockers.
Wow, that right there, I think the game just turned around from being really difficult for Sam to being, well, what are you going to do, Dustin? If Dustin has not brought in cards like Ancient Grudge, I'm pretty sure the game has just ended. Now, it really does depend. What is those sideboard cards that Dustin brought in?
Well, he did both games. He did sideboard out immediately, so he made changes. So maybe he did bring in the Ancient Grudge because he did not see that Meekstone first time around.
Faithless Looting from the Undiscovered Paradise.
What will Sam get rid of?
And we see a Thoughtseize and a land discarded. And passes back. And Dustin passes back as well. There's no real point for Dustin to attack there, obviously. A chump block from Sam will gain him a life, and then the Tarmogoyf would be locked down for an indefinite period of time.
Ooh,
Blood Artist number 2. Oh, boy. And, oh boy, Grave Crawler. And then attack for 2 in the air. Things are looking just fine for Sam Black right now.
Looks like he drew a wasteland there on Dustin's part.
And he wastelands the Scrubland. Personally, I like wastelanding that Undiscovered Paradise. That drawback is not a drawback. That drawback is a special ability in Sam's deck.
Looks like he has another Faithless Looting in his hand.
And Sam appears to opt for the cheap version rather than the flashback version. He wants to hopefully cast another spell this turn. This Faithless Looting says what? It says discard land. It says discard. Is that a Cabal Therapy?
Yeah, that looks like a Cabal Therapy that went in there.
And a land. And then Sam says go. Dustin draws.
A Polluted Delta was the land he discarded. Yeah, Dustin's just drawing his card and passing the turn every time. How frustrating has it got to be for someone like Dustin who had the game in his control until Sam brought that Meek Stone out?
As they say, that is the game of Magique.
Yes. Nope.
And we see a Daze in for 2 in the air.
Yeah, he tried to Faithless Loot one more time for the full value of 2 in a red. And again, Dustin passes turn.
And there we see. That throat will not be gotten.
No,
Counterspell.
Spell Pierce.
You can see the Meek Stone displayed on the left there. That's the old school text. The new school text says any creature with power 3 or greater.
Ah, finally we got a Mongoose out.
So we got a untouchable defender, but really Sam is being chipped away at in the air, and neither of those creatures that Sam has untapped can attack and then return to attack again.
Well, let's see if he has another answer. He does not have another answer for the Faithless Looting.
Bloodghast and Cabal Therapy to the yard. The Bloodghast, a practical free roll with that Undiscovered Paradise. Dustin not to the bloody mark though. Takes 10 life before the Bloodghast gets haste. So that's a small bit of good news for Dustin. But it won't take much work with those Cabal Therapies and that and the Blood Artists. All Sam has to do is use a single Cabal Therapy to be able to turn his Bloodghast into a hasty attacker.
Okay, here comes the Bloodghast. Which he'll in turn sacrifice for the Cabal Therapy. Okay. He named Stifle. Dustin looked like Dustin had a land in his hand as his other card.
Okay. And what we see here is Sam cleaning up the remove from game to make sure that everything is in the appropriate spot.
And another 2 in the air, that takes him to 9. Just a few minutes ago, it was 16-9. And Sam was staring down pretty much almost lethal. And now suddenly, well, there's a Delver.
What Dustin needs to do is Ancient Grudge. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's anything else at this point because his life total is so low now that with those 2 blood artists, they're just going to wreak havoc with anything Dustin does to try to like mount a defense.
I tell you, the one beautiful thing about, again, Sam, another faithless looting.
I think this is over. I think that right now, this turn, it's over.
Because you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Remember, every creature death drains 2 life away.
Oh.
I'm not sure why the O1s are coming in.
Yeah, why are the blood artists coming in? I think Sam maybe just got a little excited there, wanted to make sure.
I think it actually might be that there's literally no way for Dustin to survive this turn.
Yeah.
Because he needs to do some blocks here, and each of the blocks is going to be 2 life, period. So the blood artist coming in, I think Sam is just saying, you're dead.
Yeah. He automatically gets through the 2 on the air, and then you're talking about even if he blocks, there's no way he can mathematically block this without dying.
Yes.
Because everything is 2.
Yes.
Yep, you're going to lose 2 life, 4, yep. I think.
So there are the blocks, and we see 2, 3, 4. Oh, zealous persecution! There we go.
Sam just putting it a little over the top there.
Yep. I don't even think he needed it. Unless the life totals are slightly off, I think the game was already over.